Hi, I am Marcus Coward, representing the Student Veterans of America chapter at Bristol Community College and the Joseph A. Marshall Veteran Center. I am interviewing Virginia Senna-Davis on Wednesday, November 20th, 2024 at Bristol Community College in Fall River, Massachusetts. Also present is Steve Reese from the Fall River Community Media, Bailey Besson, who is operating the camera, and Denny Cosmo, director of the Joseph A. Marshall Veteran Center at Bristol Community College. This interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project at the Library of Congress. Virginia, thanks for Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, absolutely. And so, if I ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
First thing that comes to mind is my name, Virginia.
Of course.
Yes. And because Virginia Julia, actually, because I was named after both of my grandmothers.
Oh.
So my mom and dad, my mother wanted to name me Julia, my father wanted to name me Virginia, so I got Virginia Julia. But the funny part about it is that Jenny is a nickname for Virginia.
Okay, sure.
But Julia was my middle name, so I got the name Jenny J.
Oh, that's
my nickname, yeah. So,
sure, okay.
So my mom still found a way to put the J in there for Julia, so I
Sure.
just couldn't be just one-sided. So
And where are you from?
I am from New Bedford, Massachusetts.
From New
here.
Bedford, really?
Yep, born and raised.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, Cape Verdean. Lived here all my life except for when I went in the Navy
Sure.
back in 1984.
And now, what inspired you to join the service? Did you have any family?
My dad was a merchant mariner. I had an uncle who was in the Army, and I never met him, but he passed. He was my mother's brother. He passed away before, but I heard a lot of stories about how good he was, a great man he was.
Sure.
So that inspired me. But also I had two other cousins who were Marines who went in, and so that kind of spiked my interest in going. And at that time, I didn't want to go to school neither. So
Sure.
I didn't want to feel like I wasn't ready for college then.
What age did you join at?
I joined at age 18.
Really?
Right at, yep. I graduated in June 1984. And then September 24th, 1984, I was off to boot camp.
So what made you pick the Navy?
I really wanted to do the Air Force first, but then
Me too, actually.
Yeah. But then I thought about, I like Navy and I like the water, so yeah.
That's the New Bedford blood in you. For sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I said, let me try Navy. And then two, I wanted to follow my father's footsteps in a way.
Sure.
Because growing up, he was a master plumber.
Really?
And, yeah, he went back to school when I was younger and got his license,
Good for him.
which is, used to be is UMass Dartmouth now, But he went back, and I used to go with him in the mornings, to go do little jobs here and there.
Sure.
So I liked getting my hands dirty.
Sure.
So I figured, well, why not? If I get in the Navy, maybe I could get an engineering or something or some sort. So
What did you end up doing in the Navy?
engineering.
Engineering. Okay.
I went in as a fireman, and
Okay.
then I ended up as a machinist mate, working down in the engine rooms with the boilers and diesel engines.
Okay.
And then also I worked in a valve shop and also a pump shop. So I was, so it was all around just that machinist mate engineering, and I loved it.
Okay, I was going to ask, would you consider that fun? But maybe you would.
I did.
Okay.
I did. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was some trying times,
Sure.
because I went in 1984, so it was a tough time for females back then. And then, especially to be a female of color as well, so, and being a male-dominant, area as a machinist mate was tough. But I stood my ground. I was a tough little chickie then, so, I had to do what I had to do. And I enjoyed it. I love tools in my hand. I love getting my hands dirty, the grease, the oil, all that stuff,
Wow.
Yeah. It makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something, and I can feel it, so, But yeah, so my dad was really instrumental on having me going into machinist mate engineering.
And how long were you in the Navy for?
I was in the Navy for 9 years just shy of 10 years.
Okay.
By 6 months.
Were you trying to make 10 years, or did you have a goal in mind?
I did. I wanted to stay full.
Okay.
I wanted to do my 20 years.
What happened?
I was married, and then we were on our third child.
Sure.
So my husband at the time, he said, I was going out to sea, because like I said, I love going out to sea.
Okay.
And I love the water. But, and he was like, well, why don't you get out, you know? And because he was home doing all the girls, we had 2 girls, and I was pregnant with our son, and doing their hair and all that stuff and things. And I said, okay. So I ended up getting out. So that's why I got out.
Sure.
And then he stayed in longer. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I was happy because I got to come out, be a stay-home mom,
Sure.
which, you know, is rarely heard of nowadays. But back then, you know, when I had my son in 1993, I was a stay-home mom for at least 5 years, so it was great. I was there to do everything with my kids, and you know, opened up a home daycare too.
Really?
On the base.
Okay.
When we got stationed in.
You just had to stay busy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Okay.
I just cannot not be busy.
Yeah.
Even till this day. Yeah, I got more things on my calendar, even being retired, than I did when I was working. I do more now.
Okay. So what would you say is your main interest now, being retired, being out of the Navy?
Well, I volunteer with the DAV, with Disabled American Veterans.
Okay.
I help veterans come in, file claims, and that, get what's due to them. And I also work with a nonprofit organization group, CSJ. It's Coalition Social Justice.
Okay, amazing.
And I'm on the board with them as well. And, you know, we fight for social justice issues here in New Bedford and the surrounding towns. So, and I got that aspect from my mom. My mom was she was part of the getting the pupil transfer program back in the 1970s, you know, for education, because children of color were not being taught correctly, or our books weren't correct. So she started her and several of my other aunts and other people in the area started the pupil transfer program, where we were bused out to other affluent schools, I guess, in our area.
Okay.
So that's where that part comes from. And then I also have a daughter who has Williams syndrome, a disability.
Sure.
And so I've advocated for her all my life, but all her life, I should say, still advocating. So it's just a fight in me that I have, that's just been instilled in me. I think prior Navy and in Navy, and still continues to this day, you know. I'm like a go that person, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't see the clear cuts too much, you know. I'm really direct. And
so you were in the Navy, then for 5 years you were a stay-at-home mom, and then was it after that you went to school, that you were saying?
Yes, I went to school. When I moved back home, I came back home, and my kids were little, and I attended Bristol Community College. And it's a funny story because it took me about 3.5 years to get my associates. But I was a mom,
sure,
you know, and had kids, and so it took a little longer, but I got my associates, and then I moved on to Springfield College, and where I got my bachelor's, and then my master's in management, leadership, and organization. So, and here I am, you know. So, but But I did the celebrated programs at Springfield College, so that's why I say it's a funny story, because BCC, it took me longer to get through BCC for my associates than it did for my bachelor's or my master's.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, do you feel, or maybe not, that one career really defines what you've been interested in, what you've poured your life's work into?
No, I wouldn't say so, because I think I'm so diverse across the board that I can fit into any situation or any job, any program, you know, because of the knowledge that I have and I've learned through family, mom, dad, and then through military, and then also having a child with a disability as well. So, because I've had different careers since I've been out the military. I've done different jobs. So yeah, I worked a lot of different places.
Absolutely.
But I call them all nuggets, because, you know, it's a learning curve. A little nugget you get, you put that in your toolbox.
Yep.
And you never know when you're going to use that nugget again, you know?
Absolutely.
So, you know, so I carry my toolbox in my back pocket.
So you have 3 children.
Yes.
Would you recommend the military to your children? How do you think they would fare?
Yes, my middle daughter, Ashley, she actually was in the Air Force Reserve down in Otis.
Okay.
Yeah, but she had to get med out because she has some medical issues. And my son, Frederick Davis, he's been in now Navy for 11 years.
Really?
Yeah, he just got stationed here in Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay.
For the first time. So I have at least 2 grandkids who live here, because none of my grandkids live in the state of Massachusetts. My daughter lives in Virginia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she resided in Virginia after she finished everything and stayed there. And now my son's here in Newport, Rhode Island. So
okay.
yeah, so it's a blessing. At least I have 3 years with him here.
Sure.
So I'm gonna fight for an extension after the 3 years. So
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. His wife might win over me, but that's okay.
So you really not just created a military family, but you also come from a military family. So when you look back in your service, you said that it was a hard time for a woman to join the military, but especially a woman of color. But then you also say that you had a great time. You look back on your service fondly. So do you feel like it, on the outside perspective, that it could have been seen as a challenge to be a woman in the military? Was it a challenge being a woman in the military, or was it easier than you thought it was going to be?
I think it was a challenge because I was in engineering.
Sure.
So I think if I would have been in a traditional woman's maybe position, as they would say, maybe in HR or as a yeoman, I'm not sure, because I was never in those roles.
Sure.
But being in engineering and not a lot of women there, so you learn to toughen up and put a shell on, and you learn to say, okay, I'm here, I got to do this job. You learn to listen to what those guys are saying, that you say, I don't really want to, you know, but it's hard to block it out. So, you know, it gave me an aspect on how men talk in the military.
Sure.
And regards to no respect for a woman being in down in the engine room with them. So so it was tough there. That part was tough, and allowing me to do my job as well, because they always look like, oh, I couldn't hang with them, in the sense, you know, I couldn't do that. So I would hardly ever ask for any help when there was a nut or a bolt that I could not turn. I'm like, I'm finding a way, whether it was to put a pipe on the end of a wrench to give it more leverage hanging out, and putting my foot down on it just to crank it, just to say, you hear that little crack, and then you know you've already cracked it, so now you know you're gonna just pull a little harder to take that nut off, you know. So, but and then when I did ask for help, you know, some of the guys were okay, but there were times it was, you know, the language and just the morale, you know, not having a woman down there with me, you know, it was hard. But up in the shop was different, because now you're more around, there's other shops on the ship. So, you know, you have more people to talk to and see, and, you know, when you're in the engine room and you're out to sea, you're standing your watch, you're doing what you got to do.
Sure.
So you don't have that that community, or that, you know, the people you go down there with is your community. So, not to say all of them were bad, but, you know, it was tough for some of the things to hear, and to be so young. You know, at that time I believe I was about 19, 20, because my first duty station I wasn't on the ship.
Sure.
So so by then, you know, it made me tough. It did. It changed me in a way, for that toughness. Sure. And to be able to deal with the racism and everything else, even though I saw some of it growing up, you know, and I knew what it was, and I knew what it felt like. Yeah. But to be on your own and not have the coverage of your parents or your home or other friends.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Absolutely.
I think it changed my skin. It's tougher. Till this day, I'm still tough.
Yeah. Now, did you get any injuries while you were serving?
Yes, I did. I I was in the engine room, and we had to pick up the plates in the engine room. So you have to walk on the beams. And I was walking, and I slipped and fell, and I had hurt my ankle. I sprained my right ankle.
Okay.
So I had to, and you have to get off the ship then, because you can't get on the ship with crutches.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I was off TAD to Portsmouth Simmer, and for about 4 weeks, almost a month. So, and then I went back on the ship. But then I wasn't on too long, because then that's when I found I was pregnant with my third child.
Really?
So, and again, when you're pregnant for a woman, you have to come off the ship as well. Yeah, you can't stay on because of too many working parts, and so it's just not a safe environment for a pregnant woman to be in, no matter what department you're in. So, yeah, but yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, interesting.
And so, I'd like to talk to you about education, okay? Because you do have a master's in what were the majors again?
Management, leadership, and organization.
Management, leadership, and organization.
Yes.
What would you say is missing in education for the young people right now?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think one is for the ability for the teachers just to teach, I mean, I understand we have this MCAS, and it's part of it, but thank God it just passed.
Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Yes,
Yep, Massachusetts, we're getting rid of MCAS, so I'm happy, because our students need to learn how to basic read in order. If you can't read, you can't do anything else. You can't do written arithmetic. You can't read your social studies. You can't read science. You can't even read a basic newspaper, which they say is written on a 6th grade level as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I don't know. Don't quote me too much, but but yeah. So I think the teachers just need to be able to teach the students across the board.
Sure.
And have that time, instead of having to worry about this test is coming up and the children have to get this sleep, or for this and all these other things. If we can teach them like we were taught when I was little, they'll come out well. I believe so. And I think also now we see this more so than ever, more children who have kind of either learning disabilities or disability as well.
Sure.
I think there needs to be more assistance with that. I'm glad I had the voice I had for my own daughter.
Sure.
Fighting for the services that she needed, and so I wish that there was more services for kids, but also for the parents to learn to know where do they need to go to if their child is failing, or they feel like their child has a learning disability, or a failure to catch up, or something.
Sure.
If there was somewhere where a parent and a child can go to learn, how can I get my services and where can I get them from? But yeah, just teaching, and I mean, it always still comes back to home, though. It does. And we hear a lot of things on the news, what's going on in schools with the kids and everything else. So we have to find a way to bring that back. I think when I grew up, we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah. Even me.
Yeah.
When I went to Carnegie Academy, we were still saying that.
Yeah. And now we can't say nothing. You can't do anything. You can't have God or whoever it may be that you believe in.
You can't have faith.
Yeah. None. And that right there, that's strong. Because when you have faith, then you believe in who you are and who you want to become. Absolutely. And where you're going to go in life. And if you don't have that, and you don't feel that within yourself, you're already feeling yourself. So our school system, as much as it's great here in Massachusetts compared to other states, because like I said, I've been in other states, having my child, being in the military, having a disability, and having to get special needs services for her, Massachusetts has been great, but I still had to fight, to get what we wanted. But it does start at home as far as that faith base, and also teaching a child the respect that the child needs. Because when they leave their house, when I was younger, we were taught, hey, you can walk down that street, but you acting up, somebody's already watching you.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
someone was already calling my mother. My mother knew if I was acting up, or if I swore, or I said something, or whatever it was. So we didn't do those things because one, we had respect, though.
Yeah.
And that's a lot that's missing as well, you know. So, and it is hard for the teachers. I commend them because they're doing the best that they can do with what they have. I think our state needs to support them a little bit more.
Sure.
I think so as well. And then maybe we can just bring it back again, you know, and start educating these children now with the MCAS being eliminated, on what they need to be educated on. And then we can have more children who are more successful wherever they may go, whether it's the military or it's the college or they're in a trade at Voc, whatever it may be, you know. So
now, clearly you have your own views and opinions, and you have a strong voice along with a lot of experience to back it up. Have you ever thought about getting involved in politics, either local or on the state level?
I know.
I feel like you would actually be really good at it.
I know. One of the women I work with at CSJ, she always said, you should get on the school committee, you know. But I'm like, I don't know. So I just never entertained that. I don't know if I have the time, or I'm so all over the place. But then I like to be in the background, not so much in the forefront, you know, because I think my voice is heard more in the background than it is. And then, too, I hear the stories, you know, from other people who I do know who have been on either school committee or city council, when they're that one only voice and it's a constant fight, you know. And after a while, that wears down that person.
For sure.
So if I can stay in the background and use my voice, I'm not going to get worn down very fast.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be that thorn in your side, you know, so, yeah.
Okay, so you still feel like you're doing the work and fighting just in your way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so do you have any plans for leaving the area, New Bedford? Or is that home for you?
It's home for me now, yeah. I wanted to leave about, say, 10 years ago. I wanted to move down to Virginia because my daughter was down there with my granddaughter.
Sure.
And my son was stationed in Virginia down there at the time. So my daughter's in Woodbridge. My son was in Norfolk, 3 hours apart. So I thought, I can go live somewhere in between. But then my granddaughter was coming up. This was 10 years ago. My granddaughter, who is now 9, comes up every year for the summer. So I get her every year, give my daughter a break. And so I said, you know what, maybe I don't need to go because this is home. And this is my generational wealth for them as well. My legacy, I'm leaving in my house as well.
Really?
And they'll have it. I've been in my home for 19 years now, so you know, and two, I like my grandkids coming to my house because it's to grandma's house.
Yep.
We have fun, you know, we do projects, we paint, we work on our numbers, you know, cards, arithmetic, reading, you know, word sight words, you know, for my little ones who's 5 and 3. So, and then when my granddaughter comes up, she reads in the summer to me, and well, I make her read. So, and then she has to tell me the stories, what she's read, just to kind of keep, you know, the knowledge in her head, you know, because summertime's long for some kids. And without the reading, they can kind of lose some things. And I figured, why allow my grandchildren to lose? Why not just inspire them? You know, give them some more nuggets for their own toolbox as they grow older as well. So, and I like reading, you know. Not when I was younger, I didn't, but now that I'm older, I appreciate it more. And but my daughter, my granddaughter, she comes up every summer, and she doesn't always like it, but I tell her, we give and take for that. You know, you read, and then hey, we'll go get ice cream. You know, something. So, and she likes the ice cream part, of course, more.
Of course.
You know, only 9 years old, so. But yeah, so so I'm staying here in New Bedford. I'm not going nowhere.
Okay.
I'll stay here, yeah. But yeah.
And this is going to be a big question, okay? But I ask it because our commander-in-chief is the leader of our military, okay? And when I was in the Army in 2021 and 2022, I looked around and saw that the Army was very political, that people had very much their own opinions on who they want to support as president or their own views. Did you feel like the Navy was very political at that time, or do you feel that everyone was just a soldier and was kind of didn't really talk about that kind of stuff?
I think everybody was a soldier. I don't remember really talking about politics when I was in at all. So I think the times probably changed a lot more so. But yeah, because honestly, I don't even remember. I did not even vote when I was in the military neither. I never had absentee voting.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't. And I was registered voter before I left because I was 18, of course. But yeah, I do not recall ever voting or talking about it in the military.
Did you not notice a difference between, because you served for 9 years, so either you saw a president serve for 2 terms or maybe you saw the president switch. Did you not notice a difference in policy or in the agenda of the military or the Navy with different presidents or like over time?
Honestly, I wasn't paying too much attention to that because when I was 18 when I went in, so and I got out when I was 29, so there wasn't much. Well, I was 29 when I had my son. I was out before that, but I got out at 28. I was 27, one of them, and so I really wasn't into politics then, paying attention too much. You know, I don't know if it was maybe my age, the generation gap there that we have, but now it's so different because now you do get these younger adults who are really being boisterous and jumping in and doing, which I think is wonderful and great. You know, I'm so glad. I wish that we probably did have it back then, but. And then I wasn't around a lot because I was on a ship and I was out to sea.
Sure.
I was on 2 ships where I was in Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Okay.
So, so with that, and then coming back, you know, and even when we were in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, we never got the news on what was really going on. You know, it was weird because I would call home and my mother and father, they'd be so happy to hear from me when we got leave. You know, I'm on the shore and how you doing? And I'm like, why? What's wrong? You know, even when we knew there was a war going and we were Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and I could see, you know, we're out to sea, but you could see the missiles flying over. You know, but we always felt protected as well. I always felt protected because I knew there was always a submarine or something nearby that was protecting us. Okay. You know, because I was on a destroyer tender. So, but as far as political wise, no, I wasn't in that field then at that time. Sure. And I don't recall anybody ever talking. I maybe because we as that generation weren't so informed maybe in the military for that, or I just wasn't part of that at that era.
Sure. So you bring up Desert Storm, and what was the name of the
Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you want to talk a little bit about those missions, about that deployment?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I was on a ship, so I wasn't on land. Sure. But now we were close enough, you know, to which now any veteran who was in that area, even on a ship, because of bombs and the winds with the smoke and the oils and all that things that were happening now, can put in claims for the Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Sure. You know, if you have any health issues or anything. So, so it's changed, but it was scary, you know, to go out and look and see that. That part was scary, but I still felt protected. Like, you know, I did. I still felt like I knew that my battle group was somewhere around. You may not see them, you know, but I knew they were around, and I knew that to protect us, that they were able to stop anything to come to us, you know. So that I wasn't feared, but then I loved being out in the water. So I love the sunrises. I love the sunset. So,
really? So you felt both protected and in a comfortable environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Best
did.
of both worlds.
Yeah, because I loved the water, and I just, you know, that's the tranquility. And I think too, because of my faith I had that I do have. And I grew up Catholic, so I had that faith growing up and even going into the military, you know. Still went to church, even though I didn't have no family around me, but I still found churches to go to.
Wow.
Even on the boats, you know, when they had mass or anything, you know, I still went because my faith was who I am and is part of me, and it still is till this day. You know, I rely on God for all things, you know, no matter what can happen in this world. I feel like God has me already. He's had me since day one. So, you know, so that's why I guess too, I just never really worried too much about it. But it had its moments, you know, especially when we had to do our drills in case if anything happened, you know. That's the scary part when you're doing the drills, even though we know it's not happening, but a what if.
Of course.
That what if.
You take it seriously. So, of course, your emotion and your body's going to take it seriously, too.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And you can see but on the ships, they did a lot for morale. So, you know, we did. They would have fashion shows.
Really?
We did fashion shows.
Was not expecting that.
I know. Yeah. We had bingo nights, you know, card nights, all in the gallery. We had what they call steel beach picnics.
Okay.
Because they're back on the fantail, and it's still so Steel Beach. So, and that was when if you wasn't on duty or nothing, you could maybe put on a civilian clothes and you know, go out there, and then they'd have music playing, and you'd be surprised the amount of people who have skills on ships, you know. Yeah, the shipmates, you know. It was nice. It was great. And just like Black History Month, they had a Black History Affair thing, you know, they put on talent shows, everything that you could think of. It's not like your regular cruises, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But
yeah,
I
wouldn't.
Yeah, it still helped the morale, you know, and that's what we had to do to keep that going, you know. So, and that was like, because I was gone for, I had my daughter then. And my daughter, I had to sign her over when I went to Desert Storm. I had to sign her over to my mom and my dad.
Sure.
You know, while I was gone, and we were supposed to be gone 6 months, and then we got extended.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to 8 months. And then at the same time, I was supposed to be marrying, who was my husband, and then we had to change it to when I got back, and then we got married in April instead. And my daughter, who was one and a half or so, and when I came back, she didn't know me. That was the hard part. Yeah, because she knew my mother as Mummy.
Sure.
But even though my mother everybody showed her pictures of who I was, you know, being gone that long from a little child is hard. And I remember the day we came back, I'll never forget this. I don't want to cry, but my mom and them had the hotel at the Navy Lodge, and my mother said, time for a bath, and I had to go. My mother said, go ahead, Jenny, go give her a bath, you know. I said, okay. And then my daughter, she said, no, I want Mommy give me a bath, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard. So, and then my mother had to leave with her because I didn't have Navy housing yet because I was out to sea, of course. And so she went back with my mom, and I was able to get emergency Navy housing because my daughter.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so that was great. And then I came home up here to Massachusetts because that's where my mom lived, and I was here for about a month. So that way my daughter could get used to me. So when we did leave together, she'd be comfortable and not be traumatic, like I'm taking her from her Mummy, you know, because I was the Mummy. You know, so, and then that's when I vowed I would never leave again, you know, and I mean, I did, but then my husband was here because he was in Hawaii. He had got stationed in Hawaii. Sure. So that's, we weren't married yet, but he was in Hawaii, and as we got married, then I got spousal relocation to go to Hawaii. So, but yeah, that was one of the hardest things, and also her birthday. Her birthday, December 27th. Wow. And back then we had the VHS, you know, the big thing you put in there. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I do.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And I remember we were in our shop, and my mom sent the tape, and everybody in our shop was watching it, and everybody was just crying. It was my daughter's birthday. They were singing happy birthday to her.
Wow.
You know, so that was, yeah. I still have that tape. I don't have anything to play it with, but I can get it transferred over.
I don't think they sell VCRs anymore.
I know I could probably get it transferred to a CD or something, but yeah, I still have the tape of that. And she was turning 2.
Wow.
Yep. So that was a hard part. That was hard. And signing my daughter over to my mom, because I felt like I was leaving her, you know, which I did, but it was for a good cause.
Of course.
You know, because we were out there protecting our country, so, and doing what we do, what we signed up for, you know, for their flag, for, you know, our freedom, our rights, you know.
For the people back home.
Yep, yep, and they have peace and live freely and not have to be afraid. So, but yeah, that was one of the hardest parts of my military career. Was leaving my daughter, and then that video that I still have till this day. Yeah, I don't want to cry, but yeah, still makes me emotional.
Really adding to that toughness you were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been through some tough experiences.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And so, would you say that was what the Navy and the military gave you the most? Like, if you could say one thing that you learned the most from your military experience, would it be, you know, toughness, or what would it be?
I think it would be toughness. It would be finding my voice, finding my voice and using my voice.
Absolutely.
Yep, and using my voice and being strong enough to talk, you know, and use that. So, yep, but finding my voice and knowing that I am strong enough for that to speak. So, yep.
And especially when you were alone on the ship, you really must have, you know, physically and figuratively had to find your voice in order to know how to speak up for yourself.
Right. Yeah, I did. I had to do that because I didn't have anybody else to help me do it. I had to learn. It was funny when we would get in our shops and we'd have, I guess, a good way to say is that we'd have a shop meeting, you know. We called it other things, you know, I ain't going to say that what we called it, but, you know, we'd have our shop meetings and they would always say, where's Senna? Where's Senna? We need Senna here, you know, because they knew that I was going to say what I had to say, you know, I brought that.
And they respected you for it.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, because I didn't sugarcoat nothing. I'm like, no, and I still don't till this day. I still don't. I mean, I was tough on my kids growing up a little bit, but, you know, but I apologize to them every now and then. I'm like, I'm sorry. They're like, Ma, you did wonderful. We want you to do nothing different, you know. You made us who we are, and we're thankful for who you are and what you've done, you know. So I'm glad that I instilled in some things in them that were really good, you know. But my father instilled that too, because when he was in the service, of course, I wasn't born, I was little. And I remember we had to clean those windows and change those curtains. Well, every season. I used to hate doing windows. I still hate them till this day.
How come?
Because my father used to make us take out the windows, and these were the old windows. I know you don't know that they were wooden back then, you know, and they could come out, and you had to take them out, and you had to clean them on the inside and the outside and put them back. And then my mother had us do the curtains every season. So I hate curtains. So I don't even do my curtains in my house. My sister Joanne does it for me.
Really? You've already paid your price. You did your time.
Yep.
Sure. Okay.
Yep. So nope, I don't do it at all. My sister comes and does it for me. But yeah, so you know, so those are some of the things that, you know, my father learned when he was in, you know, as a merchant mariner and working in engineering, and you know that toughness, that not authority figure per se, but also, you know, when you're doing something, there's steps to things, you know, in life, you know. You just can't go and say, oh, I'm going to go and take that valve out. No, you got to learn in that system. You got to find a way you got to shut it off from.
Sure.
You got to get permission to shut it off as well, you know. So just like in life, you know, we just can't say, oh, you know, I'm just going to go over here and steal this candy or do whatever it may be, because there's consequences to that,
always.
You know. So I think growing up with that with my father, you know, I always say me wash the windows with consequences, but I know it wasn't. But I think it was just to say, okay, you know, this is how you clean, and he was like that. And that was from the military, you know, with your uniform, you know, your bedding, all those things that you learn, you know, how you had to keep, you know, everything had to fit and be folded and nice, you know, and your bed when you was in boot camp, you know, they had to bounce the quarter off, you know. I still make my bed the same way I made it when I was in boot camp.
Really?
I still do.
Well, like nursing corners and all that? Wow.
Nursing corners, I still do.
Okay.
Yep, till this day. Yep, I still do.
Now, is that because you want to, or it's just instilled in you?
It's instilled in me.
Yeah.
It's so instilled in me. Yeah, and I just think like how things like color coordinated, you know, and just things being precise a little bit.
Sure.
You know, that's instilled in me too from being, you know, in the military and especially working in engineering.
Sure.
You know, because everything had to be precise.
Sure.
You know, you could not say, oh, I'm not going to put that nut on there or that bolt or whatever, because no, the rest of them are all tight. No, you got to do all of it, you know. You do all of it or you don't do it at all.
Sure.
And that's what I always tell my children. We're going to do it right the first time or don't do it at all, and then I'll do it then.
Sure.
You know, but I can show you how to do it right the first time, and then you learn, you know, and then you do it, you know. So, and that's how I am. I'm still that, like this till this day, you know, even with my house, you know, my floor's always clean, everything. It's just, you know, to my clothes, my shoes. I hate my sneakers being dirty, you know, and I think that's because of the boots. We had to shine them, you know. They don't shine them nowadays, you know, but we had the black boots. We had to shine them, spit shine them, you know, literally spit on them with the black and shine it, you know, so until they were so shiny you could almost see yourself, you know, for inspection and stuff. So, yeah.
So do you feel like our military is just as important today as it was when you served?
Oh yeah, yes, yeah, very much so. Yep, very much so. And I think it's changed so much as well, you know, because of the type of wars that we have now. I mean, there's still ground wars, you know, but now it's more air missiles. Technology
drones.
Is totally changed, you know. So it's I don't even know if I would be able to fit into a military right now.
Sure.
You know, because my era was my era, you know, and to change to go with how it is now, you know, the turbines, the gas turbines, and all that stuff, and I didn't have that. I had diesel engines, 6, 7, you know.
Sure.
So I didn't have that, so I don't know. That would have to be a whole new learning curve for me.
Sure.
And I ain't doing that now. No, I served my time.
So definitely a different Army, but still just as important.
Yeah. Yep. And the Navy still. Yep. Navy. You know, everything's changed, I believe, but it's just the new era now. You know, the new war, as they say. You know.
Or the new Army. Yeah.
New Army.
That's what. Because you're totally right. Like there have been some good changes, and maybe some things like with the changing of the name of Fort Benning. I was actually really upset by that.
Really? Yeah.
Maybe just because that linked me to the rest of the history of the Army, and it's still the same place, but just a different name.
Right. Yeah.
And our drill sergeants just kept referring to us as being New Army. And there's some good ways, like they have reduced the bullying and the hazing that goes on.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more of a safe and healthy work environment for everyone.
Right. Yeah.
And so I definitely appreciate how they made some improvements for sure.
Yeah, because my son who's in now, he's been in 11 years now, and we talk about it. I'm like, what? Huh? Like now, when you went from E1, E2, E3, you had to take your test to be E4. Now there's no more tests for E4. I'm like, huh? You just get advanced as long as you're doing your job and your qualifications. I'm like, no more tests. So no. And then even changing over to go to chief, I guess there's not gonna maybe not be a test. He said they're writing it up now. They're looking at it, you know, and all these things that are changing. And I mean, and even with the women, you know, when you have your children, your kids, they help you get back in shape by doing mommy makeovers, some of them, and I'm like, I don't have that. I had to go back and exercise, and then I was on like, okay, hold on a minute, you know, if you didn't get back to your size within, you know, 8 months, you know, you was like,
Really?
you know, you got a strike, and you're like, okay, you know, because back then we had a weight limit. I mean, I think there still is, probably is, but you know, but I mean, it wasn't like it is now, you know,
Sure.
maybe a little lenient. Back then it really wasn't, you know. You had to get back in shape, because
Wow.
if not, there was a chance you could have got kicked out,
Wow.
you know, for things. And I'm like, wow, it definitely has changed. So yeah, so there's some good things, and then some things like I just don't agree with.
Yeah, in some ways they are lowering the standard. In some ways.
Yeah, they have.
And it's not just the military. I've seen research that's with the police force as well, just nationally. In a lot of ways, a lot of jobs and professions are having to lower the standard, either because of education or for lack of physical capability. You know, we're just not in shape the same way we used to be.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of the young people.
Yeah, I know. When one of the other jobs I had, I worked for the diabetes out in Fall River before.
Sure.
And I was a diabetes advocate. I worked for there 4 years, and at that time I did have diabetes too as well, so I saw a lot. You know, it's changed, the pyramid's changed now too as well.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yeah.
And
so,
I don't totally understand that either, but
yeah, I know. But yeah, and I'm like, wow, you know, I guess over years things change. People change because we change, and you know. But again, you know, if we had those things that we need to, you know, if we had less fast food sometimes, you know, I think, and if these children were able to go outside in a safe community to utilize parks and places and things, you know, we'd have less health issues, you know. So,
absolutely.
So I've seen that. Working as a diabetes advocate, you know, so it's all changed, you know, and it could be good and it could be bad, you know, but I still think that we've come a long way for everything, you know, whether it's the military or civilian world. There's been some good changes and bad changes, but you know, there've been changes, so.
And we're still here. We're still America.
We're still here.
We're still fighting for better and fighting for improving for our future.
And our military is still just as strong. So, and that's the good thing, you know. But but I mean, like I said, I was on I was on the USS Willamette. That was my last ship. That was in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the one. I wasn't on that long. I tend to joke and say, you know, I could have been around the world, but my husband had to get me pregnant, so and that's my last son. So I had to come off the ship, and they were going out to sea.
Wow.
Yeah, they were doing a Westpac, because I did 2 med cruises already, which, you know, it's in Egypt, Greece, Turkey, you know, Spain, all those areas there, Crete, everything. So I was so looking forward to that. But I did get to Japan because my son was stationed there. That was his first duty station. So I went as a civilian.
Do you have a favorite place that you've been to?
Well, you know, it's so funny. I think Egypt is my favorite place that I've been to, being in the military, to see the Sphinx and the pyramid, and to go in the pyramid.
Wow.
It's like life-changing.
Wow.
To see that up and close and personal.
I really want to go.
Yeah, everybody should go. I think so. But my favorite place being out of the military, Japan. Japan. Yep. If my kids would move to Japan, I'd go right with them.
Really?
Yeah. I liked it there. Yep. I loved their food, the culture, everything. You know, it was really, I enjoyed it very much. I felt comfortable there. But Egypt was my favorite place that I've ever been to. And I've been twice, because I was on 2 different ships. The USS Shenandoah, the USS Yellowstone, and we both did med cruises. So, and went to the same places twice for free. But I worked for it though. But so yeah, I want to go to Egypt as a civilian. I've been to Spain as a civilian. So I just came back from there not too long ago. I went for my birthday, and I went to Barcelona. So, but it was nice. It's nice to go places as a civilian, because when you go in military, you know, we call it that leave, you know, and it's different because you're going out there. Yeah, you do some, you know, you might take a tour or do this or do that, but you know, you're really just getting off the boat because you need to. You've just been out to sea.
And you still have rules you have to follow. You're still you're not in uniform, but you're still serving.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, you're still serving, and you can't just say, "Hey, I'm
Exactly.
just gonna, well, I'm gonna go over here for 2 days," and no, we only got one night out in town, so you got to be back, So yeah, but yeah, I have some wonderful friends I still keep in contact with too.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank God Facebook.
Sure.
That's a blessing. So, but yeah, connected that, and then so that part's good. I enjoy being able to connect with even other people I didn't know in the military. With my son on the in Newport now, I go down there a lot to see my grandkids too. But the things they do on the base, it just brings back those memories, that camaraderie, and that it's. Unless you haven't been in the military, it's hard to understand how to put it in words, the difference. Because you have your girlfriends, your homies, or whatever you might call them, your friends, and all that who are civilian. Yeah. But then your military friends, it's different.
Brothers and sisters.
For life. For life. And it doesn't change. No matter what you've been through, they're always going to be right there. Yeah. Right there. Even if you didn't even serve with them, but you could see somebody walking down with their jacket or a shirt on or something. And
there's that connection.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. You're like, "Hey, shipmate," or "Hey, hoorah," for Marines, whatever. If I say it right, but probably don't say it as much as them.
But I'm Army. It's cool.
But yeah, I know. Yeah. So, but it is. It's different. So, but yeah, so I love when I go down there and they're doing things, like this weekend we went, they had the Army Navy game down there. Sure. It was a prep school, but it was still nice to see and to be in that mixture, and and everybody's like, "Hey," I don't know, it's so different.
I just ran my first 5K race a couple months ago with it was Run to Home Base, I think it was called, and it was for veterans. This year in particular, women veterans. And when I was there, it was in Fenway, and the finish line was across home base. And I'd never been surrounded by so many veterans. And everyone was just so polite. Everyone's so nice and just friendly. And veterans, soldiers too, but especially veterans, have this certain demeanor about them, where it's not just brotherhood or sisterhood, but it's just a kind of respect that we definitely have for each other and for people. Yeah,
because you either know what they've been through, or you know what they're going through. Even though we all wear boots, but it's how they fit and how we walked in them is what's different. But we all wear boots, but we just don't know what they've been through, because military is good, but there's also been some trying things for people as well. I'm not shy of that neither as well. I mean, I have my own little, I don't like to call them demons, but I have my own little issues that I carry that have scarred me as well. So but it's sometimes things happen to good people because someone else did some things bad.
Yeah, that's life.
It's life, But you learn, and I'm glad that the VA, the military, they're recognizing things more so now than ever before. Yeah. And what, like, it comes down to everything. Whether a person's sexual orientation, or what a trauma, a male or a female, especially male is coming out more, with men going through issues and with the rape stuff that's happening and all those things, so that's been a plus, I think. It's hard to deal with, but you get through it, you get through it. So, and I mean, we've all been through something in the military, Yeah. We've all been through something, so.
So Virginia, we're wrapping up this interview. It's been a pleasure talking. Do you have any final words or anything that you feel like you left unsaid or you forgot to mention so far?
Yeah, I'm a hell of a woman now. No, not just that. But God, I wanted to say thank you
Absolutely.
for this time and to allow me to speak. But as well, I appreciate that it's allowed me to kind of come back into what has developed me to be who I am. Even though that little bit of me was always there, but the military helped bring it out more so.
Absolutely.
Help bring it out more so. And that I do appreciate. And I am a hell of a woman.
Yes, you are.
And, and I look forward to helping other veterans, in the role that I do with the DAV, and educating them as much as I can, because we all have a story.
Yes, we do.
We all have a story. Good, I say good, bad, or indifferent. And we all have a story. Somebody's story needs to be heard so somebody else who's going through it can say, wow, I'm not the only one, There's someone who's out there just like me. And it helps relieve and breaks down, that bad feeling of what you have. You feel like, hey, if someone can get through this and go through it and come out okay on the other side.
Yes. That you can do it too.
You can do it too.
Yeah. And so thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Virginia J. Senna-Davis, U.S. Navy veteran. Thanks, everyone.